favourite goals. Ian, how do we choose? I've got a list.
I'll go for two different ones that popped into my head straight away.
Yep, the old famous Dickov scatter cushion.
Hi everyone, Ian's asked me to remember to you all my favourite goal for Manchester City.
It would have been so easy to have picked one from the last decade.
So, been asked to talk about the Spurs goal, the goal in the FA Cup when we came back from 3-0 down.
Talking about goals, there's just so many that just flood into my mind.
I know Sergio Aguero and Vincent Kompany's goals are going to be very high on people's lists.
Hey guys, just been asked to do this little video by the great Ian Cheeseman. Just reflecting a little bit on my greatest goal.
So then, time for my favourite ever City goal in 26 years. Vinny, 26 years of City goals, that is a lot of goals. Ian, you've really put me on the spot here.
I'm going to go through a few of my favourite goals.
My favourite City goal.
Well, what a theme for this week's Matchday vlog. It's almost an impossible question to answer, isn't it? What's your favourite City goal? You must have seen hundreds like I have, from Yaya Touré's rampaging runs to Vinny Kompany's special key moment goals to that Sergio Aguero effort to Dzeko's vital goal in that game. And of course the sixth at Old Trafford, the King Clancy weaving goal. Oh, there's so many of them, I don't know where to start. I'll pick one at the end, I promise. But for now, those contributors, what do they think?
I thought about perhaps my first ever City goal, 1970, Ian Bowyer, away at Sheffield Wednesday. But it meant nothing to City. It relegated Wednesday, so it meant something to them. But in the end, I shortlisted it down to two. Paul Power scoring at Villa Park in the semi-final against Ipswich in '81.
My favourite goal of all time actually was, from a personal point of view, was against Everton when we played the replay of the quarter-final at Main Road. We beat them 3-1. Bobby McDonnell got the other two goals, and I was put through one-on-one with the keeper. And normally in those circumstances, I wouldn't always be sure exactly how to score. They used to call me Jigsaw because I fell to bits in the box, but on that occasion I slotted the goal, and it was a good moment. So I felt definitely then I was in control of everything. But the most important goal that season was the semi-final against Ipswich. Ipswich were a top team then. They had the likes of Arnold Muir and Franz Tyson, Mick Mills and Kevin Beattie and people. They were a real strong side, and we were big underdogs. But we went to Villa Park, and it was the 100th FA Cup final that year, and in the 100th minute of that game, so extra time, we were awarded a free kick on the edge of the box. And normally what would happen, Steve McKenzie would touch it to me, the player on the edge of the wall would come and knock it down, come and close me down, I should say. Then I would knock it to the side for Tommy Caton to strike with his magnificent left peg. Prior to the extra time, at full time, Eric Gates had been walking off with his boots under his arm, and I said, I think you'll find out that, we've got extra time to play. He said, oh, I thought it was a replay. He said, oh, you can have it then. So I thought, well, I hope all your teammates think the same thing. And I don't know whether it was Eric Gates who was supposed to come and close the ball down off the end of their wall, but whoever it was didn't. And so I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, and I decided to have a shot. Paul Cooper was the goalkeeper, not the biggest goalkeeper in the world, and I managed to curl it in the top corner, and that led us to Wembley. Absolutely fantastic. It was at the City end. All the City fans were at Villa Park, and just to see all the arms go up in the air as the ball was going into the net, and to be mobbed by all the City players was a fantastic moment. So yeah, as regards most important, definitely I think that semi-final goal against Ipswich.
But in the end, during City's history which was fairly dark, fairly bleak in the 80s and 90s, I went for Trevor Morley, scoring the goal in the 86th minute, I think it was, at Bradford City, a goal that earned us a point that saw us get promoted. And whilst the goal in itself was nothing particularly spectacular, it was significant because we'd learned on the day of the game, when a City fan had gone onto the pitch and told Paul Lake that our rivals for promotion that day, Palace, who were playing ahead of us, were 4 up at half time, and we knew we had to get a draw. I mean, we were losing 1-0 early doors, and we did everything but score. We must have hit the woodwork several times. David White in particular was striking post and bar, and it was Whitey predictably using his pace to get away down the left and towards the very end of the game, and squared the ball for Trevor Morley arriving and firing the ball in from close range. Not a spectacular goal, but a memorable goal. And for me, that day at Valley Parade, put City in promotion, back into its promotion position, a position they chucked away the previous week when they surrendered a 3-goal lead against Bournemouth.
I think it goes back for me to 2004 when it was at a rare visit to London midweek. Managed to get to the replay of the FA Cup. I think it was 4th round tie against Tottenham. We'd drawn at home 1-1 and went down. Shocking first half. Tottenham scored 3 great goals, I remember.
It was absolutely horrendous, that first half. Terrible. It was probably the worst performance I've been involved in in one half, especially when I was at City with the team we had and the players we had. But it wasn't good at all. And anyway, obviously, walking off, you look round and you see Joey arguing with the referee, and the red card came out. So that was it. Even backs against the wall even more now. But I remember going in and everyone was in shock, really, a bit shell shocked. I've said this numerous times, and I don't mean this disrespectful to Kevin Keegan, but he didn't really say much to my recollection of when we was in the changing rooms. As it was mainly the players who was all going, trying to basically G each other up, but a bit shell shocked really by saying, well, what's just happened? We've been absolutely annihilated there. What's it going to be like? And to be fair to Tottenham, they was outstanding the first period of that, the first half of that. So anyway, we trying to encourage each other. Let's get going, let's try and give a good account of ourselves. Let's try and improve the first half performance. And then we walked out. We was in the tunnel. I remember, and once again, I've said this to many people. I remember hearing it, and it still gets the hairs on the back of my neck standing up now. When all we could do was hear the fans. We could hear the fans singing our names and singing, just cheering us on and cheering us and supporting us, which, like Man City fans do all the time and always have done. They was just, I don't know whether he was encouraging us or trying to give us something just to look forward to. Well, personally for them just to have make the most of the night, which wasn't a good night up until that moment. And, looking back on it now, it probably inspired us a little bit. Deep down, it's one of them things when you see fans like that and you see you see how they're behaving, it kind of inspires you a little bit. And anyway, we went out, we got the first one back, we got the second one back. I think the goalkeeper at the time, Anderson, he made some unbelievable saves. So you're looking at that as well, and everything's coming in. And the second went in, we thought, right, okay, then we've done really well there. If they get another one and you win the game, at least we've made a game of it the second half. Then the third one went in, it's 3-3, and you're thinking, wow, we've really done something. We've done really something special here, because this is a good comeback. White Hart Lane, fantastic team Tottenham had at the time. This is something special, getting this back to 3-3. And then I just remember Michael Tarnow, which we all remember him, what a left foot he had and what a crosser of the ball he had. And I just remember he got it on the left hand side and he whipped it right across. And I've always remembered he always got told back stick, get your header. And the ball came across and I just managed to free myself up and connect quite well with it. And when you connect like I did with the header, and you see where it's aiming and where it's going, and you see the keeper kind of stumble to try and get it, and you know it was in. And honestly, the feeling I got from that goal was immense, and I still remember it now, and I still feel what I felt then with the emotion thinking about it now. And obviously I ran over to the fans and I could see their faces, and I could see people with the tops off on a cold night and just cheering and celebrating. It meant so much to me, and it meant so much to the fans and everybody else after it, and who still remember me personally for that game, and what we achieved that time. And it was just such an unbelievable moment. And obviously we see the game out and then everyone's celebrating, and it was just a memorable experience and a great FA Cup tie.
The City songs were at 3-1, we're going to win 4-3. And we did. And I just remember that night, somehow, that goal, that feeling, rekindling a little bit of what happened in 99. Just fabulous. So that's my nomination for my favourite City goal that I've seen watching the Blues.
It has to be the one scored by Jesus against Southampton to make it 100 points. I remember that day very distinctly because I was just sticking right in front of the TV hoping that we would score. And De Bruyne, he was so deep, he just whipped a long ball to Jesus, and Jesus, he just lobbed it over the keeper to make it a century of points. And I was just jumping around knowing that we had created history, and it was a record which cannot be broken in another decade. So for me, it has to be the one.
How can nobody mention 93-20 for the very obvious reasons of what that meant for people that can't remember the earlier days, and not even just the earlier days. People were around then. It's just had been such a long time between those kind of celebrations and moments, and the ridicule we'd suffered for all those years, and the attempts that we'd made to build a better squad, and all those managers we went through. I think it wasn't just celebration and euphoria, it was relief as well. So yeah, I'm sure that everybody wants to mention 93-20, and I'm sure for any City fan it's got to be right up there.
There was a few people around me in the South Stand when players were getting the ball on the edge of the box just saying, "Hit it, have a go." It was that kind of a game, really. And it was always going to take something, but never in my wildest imagination would I have ever thought it would be something like that.
Usually when it's a really important goal like that, I'll be jumping round, I'll end up on the row below or row up, I'll be hugging everyone around us in 119 where I am. But for that goal, that's probably the first goal that I've been in the ground where I just haven't really celebrated. Obviously, I've not celebrated goals that are consolations or they're trying to get back into a game. But on that occasion, that was a massive goal and it was so important. Yet I just stood there in silence. Everyone else was going crazy, and I was sort of startled by it because obviously no one thought he would be able to do that.
I just remember the ball falling to him, and he took a little stride and he glances up, and when he pulls his foot back, like Aguero says, you could hear people around me in the South Stand going, "No, don't shoot, no." Well, I'm keeping it clean because there was a few other choice words said. And I was like, shoot. Seriously, I know you probably won't believe me, but I was like, oh God, shoot. But please shoot. Because it can't be any worse than what we'd already had that game. We needed something like that for the breakthrough. But, wow. The minute it left his foot, you knew there was only one place it was going to end up, in the back of the net. It was just a moment of complete and utter magic.
For him to pull that off, I was like, wow, has that just really happened? And I didn't celebrate it at all. It was so weird. I was sort of in shock. And I think for that reason, that's definitely up there when I think about what are my favourite goals of all time watching City. I think it was that reaction, and obviously the quality of the strike was unbelievable. And it's one of those things that you could try, you know, a million times and it'll only come off once, and it did, and in the most important fashion, and it meant that we went on to win the league. I think that was the most important goal of the season, and meant that, you know, we did lift the title.
I struggle to find the words really in the adjectives when it comes to, obviously, everybody knows I'm biased about Vincent Kompany anyway, and I just completely adore him. And oh yeah, you called your son after him. How many times do I hear that? I do, yeah, because I did, because I love him that much. But that goal, just magic. And everybody who was privileged enough to be in that stadium on that night knew that they were part of something really, really special. Knew that they'd witnessed something remarkable.
Now this man next to me doesn't need introducing to anybody. Vincent Kompany, our captain, at 11 years at City. What a legend, what a servant, and what the legends and servants and captains do, they deliver when it matters most. And this man did that almost a year ago. Well, it's a year this month really, April 2019. This man stepped up and delivered and took us down to Brighton after the Leicester game in the driving seat basically. And without that goal in the 68th, 69th minute against Leicester that night, we wouldn't be where we are right now with another title in the bag, would we? So Vincent Kompany, the man, not a myth, but the legend, decided to smack that ball from, 35 yards out with absolute power and precision past one of the best goalkeepers in the league, Kasper Schmeichel, obviously the son of the legendary goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel, you know, the ex-Aston Villa goalkeeper. And he did the business and he delivered, and what a goal. Great power, great technique, and he did it when it mattered. He did it when we really needed a goal. The anxiety in that ground was unbearable at times. It was so intense, and this man eased all our anxiety that night and really calmed our nerves going into the Brighton game. Roof came off at the Etihad that night. I'll never forget the feeling of when the ball hit the back of the net. When he hit it, we knew it was in. I knew it was in. I think Jess said she knew it was in as well. Before he hit it, he didn't. But when he hit it, you just knew that it was destined for that top left-hand corner, and what a strike it was. Roof came off, like I said, and I've not seen it come off that much since Sergio ripped the net off when he put it past Kenny, like we spoke about the other week against QPR, way back in May 2012. Mad to think, really, innit, Vinny, that it's been a year already, pal. But is it my favourite goal? No. My favourite goal is the 44 pass Ilkay Gundogan finished goal against our biggest rivals from that other city down the road at United at the Etihad Stadium. 44 passes, Ilkay, nice cheeky finish, straight through the legs of De Gea. What a goal it was. And just 44 passes, just 44 passes though. Unbelievable. We did everything that I've always wanted to see us do against United. We pulled them apart on our own turf, ripped them to shreds. We've done it in a decade now against them at Old Trafford and at home against them. Absolutely unbelievable. 44 passes. Every player working tirelessly with cohesion to make sure that not one pass was sprayed wrongly or inaccurately. And if one player messes up there, you don't get your 44 passes. No 44 passes, no goal at the end of it if we give possession away. So the concentration involved, the technique involved, the passing accuracy and ability involved, and the finish at the end from the German maestro Ilkay Gundogan delivered us one of the most beautifully crafted and most Pep Guardiola goals we'll probably ever see at the Etihad Stadium, and what a team to score it against.
If we're going to go for goals, then I'm going back to Kincladze and those days with that particular team. I was quite friendly with the guys back then, and used to go out socialising a bit. So I've got some great memories from that, as well as the matches that they played in. And I still don't really have a favourite Kincladze goal, I don't think. It was just generally his style of trickery. It was very, very George Best, but quicker and faster. The balls had changed and the pitches had obviously changed from then days anyway. So, it made it all a bit quicker. And, he didn't even I wouldn't say he ran at players. He just ran through them like they weren't even there. And that ball just seemed to be magnetised to his feet.
I'm going to go for Kincladze's solo effort. I was in the main stand that day and just couldn't believe my eyes, and it really was incredible.
For our team, for City, he was way ahead of his time, he really was. And so he was a favourite of mine, favourite player, a favourite person that I knew, and also some incredible, memorable goals that did us well as a team, as City.
I'm going to go off the wall for the last one because, a bit biased, because I was the founder of Man City's women's team, then Manchester City Ladies, in '88, so I am very biased. But this year we had our first professional women's derby, and it was held at the Etihad. There was 31,000 there, which for me was you know, a privilege to see, and I'm glad I got to see it along with my 7-year-old daughter Lily. We got to be part of that history being made. The game wasn't a classic by any imagination. I was hoping for a thrilling 3-2 or something, but we got a 1-0. But the 1-0 will do, especially as the goal that won it was an absolute screamer. Caroline Weir, who's got a magical left foot wand, scored a goal, picked the ball up about 25 yards out on an angle, crashed it across the keeper into the far corner, top corner. Brilliant strike. Would be worthy of any goal of the, you know, being mentioned as great goals. Caroline probably doesn't realise the significance of it. She will one day, and she'll tell her grandkids about it. But it was sensational, a sensational goal, and I'm pleased that the game of such significance, of such historical context, was won by an absolute peach.
My goal comes from 2002 from Shaun Goater. Feed the goat, he will score. Probably my all-time favourite player, along with my favourite goal. The one against Manchester United at Main Road. Everything about the goal I love. From the way he doesn't give up on it, takes it off Gary Neville, brings it back, nutmegs Barthez, and went on to score his 101 goal in that game as well.
The last game at Main Road, a really exciting game, and I think about the build-up to the game, bumping into the fans, just seeing them in passing. You just couldn't avoid the sheer excitement about the game and what it meant. And it took a lot of mental, really, to sort of accept that from fans, but at the same time sort of had to block it out, because on the actual day of the game you had to really be focused, because I became experienced to understand that could drain you even as a player. So but it was, you know, just a really great build-up in terms of the week. It's actually really emotional, because sometimes we've actually seen some of the banners, you know, some of the banners up there were saying "Feed the Goat," and I was just thinking, like, how could you be saying "Feed the Goat"? This is about Main Road, this is about City, this is the last ever Main Road derby. So it became emotional to see it, and I actually remember warming up even Robbie Fowler, and he was just like, wow, these City fans love you. And it sort of hit me after that. This Robbie Fowler is a legend at Liverpool to say that and acknowledge that. So yeah, the actual goal itself, a misplaced pass by Vivian Foe, chased it down. Gary Neville, a good friend of mine now, made the wrong decision, but for me it was the right decision. I pressured him. Hear a lot of talk about high tempo and pressing. Well, I guess we were doing that back then, eh? So yeah, pressed him, won the ball, and honestly just really looked for a teammate to square to. And when I realized there was no one there, I had to go alone. I just opened the angle up, and seeing Barthez there and had a nice clean strike, aimed for the far corner, and was pleased to see it go in. So get in. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that goes as one of my most memorable, favorite, greatest goals, however you want to say it. But yeah, it was a delight. Come on, City.
What also about that game was so important, and them goals were so important, because that was our last ever derby at Main Road before they knocked the Grey Stadium down. The last thing we would want as fans was to give Manchester United the bragging rights to have a history that they won the last ever derby there. So that adds to the goal for me personally as well. You know, what a great chant, "Feed the Goat, he will score." I mean, I'd love to hear us sing it more at home and away games. I think he's an absolutely top-class player for us. And £400,000, I mean, did we ever spend £400,000 in the history of the club that was better value than what we spent on him for what he went on to achieve for us? I don't think so. Also, you know, I love my Man City tattoos, which I have Sergio Aguero from that great goal, won us the title, and also Vincent Kompany from his goal as well. And that led me on to, I had this one done as well. That was from my favourite goal, 3-1, 2002 Main Road, Shaun Goater's autograph, along with a few others, Peter Schmeichel, Nicholas Jensen, Danny Tiato, got Keegan, our favourite manager, Richard Dunn, Gerard Weekins, and Berkovic and Sunji Hai. That's my favourite goal, favourite chant, favourite player, and favourite game probably, all rolled into one. So listen, I know we're still missing the football and everything else, but the longer this goes on, the longer we stay Premier League champions.
Well, listening to Shaun Goater talking about that famous goal in the last Manchester derby at Main Road has got me thinking that maybe next week the vlog should be about your Main Road memories. That's where certainly I started to watch football. Depending on what age you are, maybe Main Road is just a reputation rather than somewhere you remember. So if you're a younger fan, you can certainly contribute in terms of what you have been told about Main Road. And if you're of a certain age and you want to tell us your memories, your favourite games, what it felt like to walk up the Kipak steps, or perhaps sit in the North Stand, the Platt Lane, or the main stand. I know I commentated off the gantry for the club video as well. That was how I started my commentary career. Whatever it is that you want to tell us, your memories of that last day, the first time you walked into Main Road as a kid, those are the memories I'll be looking for next week's vlog. In the meantime, stay safe, and hopefully we'll come through all this still smiling on the other side. The podcast, of course, Forever Blue Podcast, continues as well. Look out for that on SoundCloud and on my social networking Twitter account in particular, at Ian Cheeseman, or on the Facebook page, either my own Facebook page, Ian Cheeseman, or the Forever Blue one. Stay safe and look after your family and those who are close to you. Remember what's most important. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Big shout out to the 3 companies that have supported the products that I put out under the Forever Blue title throughout the year, the podcast and the vlogs. See you all soon. Oh, I nearly forgot, as Columbo used to say. My favourite goal, it's like trying to pick your favourite kid, isn't it? How can you do that? My favourite goal? All of them. It's great being a Blue, isn't it?
Last but not least, to everyone who's watching this, and also Cheesy, not sure if I can call you that, but stay safe and love your vlogs and videos, man.